It was in the basement of my old friend Donny Cody's house, and we were like besties through elementary school as two like quasi-effeminate, quasi-queer kids. We were not big outdoorsmen, so there was a lot of time spent in his basement on summer days drawing elaborate torture chambers and watching the Golden Girls, or like having the Golden Girls kind of play in the background.
It's my birthday. I get the rose.
I think I liked the Golden Girls so much at that time because I don't know if it was something about seeing the difference of queerness in myself and something that was also being kind of taught or demonstrated by the Golden Girls in this kind of way about like women not shutting up and women still having, you know, like control over their bodies and their sexuality as they age. And I was always a super loner when I was growing up, and I feel like I was learning how to take care of myself, and I feel like there's maybe something interestingly kind of like self-sufficient about these like older women who were, who like were decidedly forming their own communities away from men. I'm Mikiki. I am a performance and video artist. I've been a drag queen for 25 years. There definitely have been some times where I feel like I have leaned hard into the Golden Girls.
No, I mean, what's he do? He imports diamonds.
When I was ending a relationship of 7 years and at the same time was kind of transitioning out of working in the social service, like that was a very confusing and complex time for me. I feel like there's like lots of strategies that we develop as people to kind of like self-soothe or make ourselves feel better when we're not doing great. And the Golden Girls is a really great strategy. It's like, take two and go to bed. The Golden Girls not only were available as this like mood regulator and like self-soothing strategy, but also it kind of like reminded about, like, I don't have to be a professional activist still to like do the kind of work that I think is important, which is about, like humanizing people that get dehumanized. I grew up as an activist, like I was raised by like, wild lesbian wolves in the woods of Newfoundland. Like I had a bunch of like amazing older queer women that kind of like helped me figure out how to shut up and listen. I felt at that time like drag was a thing that I had access to, had interest in. My first like real drag event was called the Drag Race, and it was a 3-event foot race around a bank in downtown St. John's, where it's basically just an excuse for me to talk about my politics and talk about like food security issues and like gender identity and violence, and that's always been kind of what my drag is about. I do a show called Rose Beef. Rose Beef is a Golden Girls fandom screening series extravaganza plus euphonium lesson plus searing polemical sermon. Hi, I'm Mikiki. Welcome to Rose Beef. Thanks for coming to Glad Day. So we're going to watch a couple of Golden Girls episodes that I have chosen based on my relationship to like what kind of emotional response they kind of bring up in me. Rose Beef is just an opportunity for me to kind of like show some episodes of Golden Girls that are thematically linked, and then talk about what was kind of happening in those episodes, what was happening at the time in America and Canada while they were being made, and then how those issues relate to like a queer contemporary kind of political reality. One of the things that I find so fascinating about the Golden Girls, and these episodes in particular, loss is, is the thing that I think is affecting me. Pathos is about sharing an emotional experience or bringing about an emotional experience within another. And the thing that I find so beautiful and fascinating and terrifying about the way that it's used within the Golden Girls is that it also is just echoed everywhere.
My husband?
You would come to the fight.
You love to show off that college education, don't you?
Okay, why are you mad at cops?
Because your father is a miserable...
Sometimes it's difficult to have conversations about issues that you are linked to or that you are seen to have a bias around. But if you can create a spectacle, and drag is nothing if not spectacular, then you afford yourself an opportunity to be heard in a different way. My experience of HIV acquisition becomes different depending on what response I'm trying to evoke out of the audience. And that my reality of working with and being friends with and lovers with people living with HIV for years before that made it not such a fucking big deal for me to actually acquire HIV. For me, what I love about being able to do roast beef and about the Golden Girls is being able to talk about the immediacy of the issues. It's like, this is not for the children, this is not for future generations, this is for the community that we have that's in this room. This is for trying to make things better for the people that you're gonna pass on the way home tonight. This is about right now, because now is all that we know that we have, and we are beholden to each other.
Do we want to change the world, or do we want to do a quiz?
Both.
Okay, we'll start with a quiz.